Now, from the EG side, if they have a bad day,
Admiral
they will drop to the
Conca.
lower half of the main event. And coming into this tournament as EG, that is probably something that they did not expect. So I think the pressure is on EG. They need to Conca.
10 seconds remaining.
Who look like two of the weaker teams in the group. Granted, you can't sleep with anyone at this
They
TI.
could steal some games.
And Infamous has been known for pulling out quite the upset here and there. So, but with that said, let's jump into the draft now. Talk about these picks and bans, which are well underway. Batrider, first overall pick for EG. And the Weaver Conca, a quick reply. Secret has been running quite a bit of the Conca. Had some really big highlight plays the last few days with the hero. Other teams kind of shying away from him. He's definitely not where he was last TI, where like, you know, every game was the Conca X Seed shenanigans. We saw, I think, Lanham's E-Home especially relying on that a lot down the stretch. But those days of Conca are behind us, as EG also snag the Shaker now, which does kind of ask the question, who is Universe going to be playing? As these are both normally heroes that when they draft, he would take to the off lane. Once in a while, we do see the mid Shaker, but it is feeling like, you know, one of these is probably a support.
Yeah, yesterday we saw Crit roaming on the Shaker, so I imagine it's going to be Universe on the Batrider and Crit on the Earthshaker. In fact, in that game, they ran an off-lane Enchantress, not something that we've seen too often, and that is like something that is in the EG drafting repertoire. They had an off-lane Enchantress in one game, and then they had a standard Zai Enchantress in another, so we're not going to see it this game. But I think moving into the tournament, Enchantress as one of the surprising pick coming out from EG should be something that teams they need to consider when they are drafting and banning against EG.
Mid Void is also in the EG repertoire.
Well, they didn't win that game, so I don't know if...
Right, so how practiced and how comfortable are they with it? I guess we'll find out. The Keeper of the Light getting banned out now by EG. Certainly an old puppy staple. That some teams, like Keeper of the Light seems like one of those heroes. Some teams love him and will pick him whenever they get the chance. You know, GH comes to mind for Liquid.
Yep.
As, to me, probably the best Keeper of the Light right now, but other
10
teams just do not
seconds
care about this
remaining.
hero. So, overall thoughts on the openings here and what, like, the
5
two team
seconds
styles as we
remaining.
get into the second stage, Lumi?
I think both teams got the heroes they want. You mentioned how Kunka's being a big one for Team Secret and for Yapzor in particular. He loves to roam on this hero. I don't think we're gonna see. We don't have a good idea what either team is really going for in terms of play style yet. We're gonna need to see pick 3 and 4. But I don't think you could safely say like, oh, Secret has a good advantage in the draft so far. I think it's fairly even. It comes down to the next two picks.
EG's turn to pick.
Okay. More respect being given for him day by day. And Secret now grabbing the Spirit Breaker. So does start to beg the question, is one of these a core? Or are they really running a Conca Spirit Breaker support duo?
Yeah, they both fulfill pretty much the same role. Roam around, put pressure on lanes. And they both kind of want some levels. Conca and Spirit Breaker, they don't really do anything until level 2. I mean, Spirit Breaker charges in, but if you don't have the your passive skill, then you're not really stunning or harassing anybody. Conca can be effective with just Torrent, but then you need some setup spells for it.
There's always the classic X into charge combo. You know, you send the Spirit Breaker in on what should be a suicide mission, and then you're like, no, buddy, it's okay. I got you covered. Pull him right back out.
All right, we're going to see the Sand King. So kind of a similar situation here for Evil Geniuses. If we put the Batrider as an off lane, then we have two melee roamer-esque kind of hero that I imagine Zaya is on the Sand King. And now Darkseer. Darkseer Spirit Breaker is a combo that we've seen before. Puts so much pressure, especially against heroes like Shaker and Sand King, where you want to come close to right click and apply caustic or whatnot, but then, you know, that eye shell burns, and it's going to be tough.
It is a run-at-you draft with Secret showing. Something I guess MP certainly is accustomed to from his old days with QO, who we just saw continuing to pull off the same tricks. Fnatic got their first win on day number 2. But it is a run-at-you draft, and they are now left needing the mid-1 hero, and with that, probably their big damage healer as well. I mean, unless this is like a mid-Conca or something crazy.
5 seconds remaining.
Mid-1, mid-Conca? I'll be down for that.
Yeah.
But
EG go Lycan, they get their building hitter.
Yep, this is a hero that they picked up 2 wins on yesterday. One of RTZ's most comfortable pick. In fact, he played it back in the days where he played mid. mid Lycan, and then roams in the jungle like 5-6 minutes into the game. But obviously, different time for a different day. But in this particular game, I'm not sure if you want a Lycan, right? Spearbreaker with the Iron Shell is gonna get up in your face. Your supports can't really help you out. I'm a little bit fearful for the Lycan. Now, he does have the passive regen from his Pharaoh Impulse.
Their lineup is super tanky now. Like, especially with, heroes like Earthshaker of the, the HP talent. Just
Which lineup? They're both super tanky. The way
well,
I see
I'm looking at EG with the Lycan and the Hal as well.
Okay.
Like, they're very sustainable as a team. So
that is true.
Not to mention, tons of just kind of like heroes that can just jump in and take those brawls. I think that is also like where Secret are most comfortable as a draft. Secret do seem a little light on the reliable crowd control, though. There's Fissure, there's the Burrow Strike. Meanwhile, you have
Vacuum Torrent Bolt.
Yeah,
I mean, that's a wombo combo.
EG's
It's
turn to
unreliable
ban.
though. If you hit the combo,
The vacuum wombo combo sounds really good on paper until you realize Kunkka has a lot of like delay between his spells. He X and then he waves the sword a bit. The torrent comes out.
get that Aghanims for the Kunkka, the double vacuum.
Maybe
wombo
down the
combo.
line. But the important point to
seconds
mention is that
remaining.
this is a lot of time for Shaker or Sand King to easily disrupt that
5
kind of chain of
seconds
spells
remaining.
coming out from Kunkka with the long range Fissure or long range Burrow Strike. So that's going to be something that we have to watch out for. Team Secret, if they could get an Aether Lens on Kunkka, I think their team fight will kind of increase
EG's turn
in
to
effectiveness
ban.
drastically, in fact. And we're going to see.
Oh wow. I basically look at this game, like going into that last pick, Lumi, there's like 8 melee heroes. Weaver is very short range. Batrider is basically in the middle of the fight. So already Earthshaker and Sand King are amazing. Now you have an Enigma. Like, all of the secret heroes need to be in the middle of the fight right now. Maybe
10
Kunkka can
seconds
sit back and throw out
remaining.
nukes, but ideally you want to be running at people with ion shells.
5
And
seconds
that is what
remaining.
Enigma punishes perhaps better than anyone else.
But can we talk about the lanes real fast?
Yes.
So
Let's talk about the lane.
is this a mid shaker, right? From
I guess
Sumail?
it's looking like a mid shaker, a safe lane, Lycan, I guess.
Yeah, you have Universe on the Batrider. You have Zai on the
They
Enigma.
Is it jungle Enigma then?
Yeah,
I mean, we
and then-
have seen. I think he tried to jungle Batrider one time. Was it at MDL? Yeah, I
And
mean,
then Crit
it's
Sand King. It's just
it's a
like
little
all over
greedy.
the place.
The
yeah.
lanes are going to be a little weird for EG, but can Secret punish it? Is the question.
Choose your
They want
hero.
to try. This to me is we see you being a little greedy with your picks. We want to be active, roaming early, running at you quickly, and not letting EG's farm machine kick in.
Well, here's the thing. I think Sumail in particular is going to have a very tough lane now. The last pick of the Clinks is going to dominate Sumail in the mid lane. Normally, when that situation happens, you're like, okay, support's going to rotate and help. But you have a level 1 Sand King, and Universe looks like Batrider is...
It is a
Or they're
jungle
swapping
Batrider.
around. Jungle Batrider?
I think so.
Okay. Now that makes the lane a little bit better. Like, you could go into mid lane and napalm him a little bit, but still, I think mid 1 is going to dominate Sumail here.
On paper, I think Secret's draft could completely run over EG because they
10
come
seconds
online so
remaining.
early, right? As soon as you have a couple points in Ion Shell, Spirit Breaker's like level 2 to 3.
5
He starts
seconds
running at you
remaining.
with the Darkseer, double Ion Shell. You can at least force these heroes off lanes, cut creeps, maybe kill them. Clinks, as soon as he hits like that level 6-7 area, he can start punishing heroes that are off in the jungle farming. Weaver obviously can apply pressure in the lanes, but I also feel like Secret have to get a lot done in that stage. If this turns into a longer war of attrition, a farm war, if EG are allowed to group up, get their key levels and items, good luck taking team fights against them. Good luck stopping them from taking Roche or a tower.
Yeah, I think you made a critical point where is that Secret has the lineup to go ahead and stay ahead, but they have to do that. Look at how much base defense they have, or rather how little base defense they have. What is the game plan when Lycan is munching your tower, sieging tier 3? You have a core and a Clinks. Very good offensively taking the tower, but less so in terms of defending.
Gameplay is still a cub. You
Okay.
don't let elf grow up.
All right, let's see if that is indeed what Team Secret will do.
Prepare for
Yapstar
battle.
will be TPing out top to start things off as Team Secret look to get their early wards down. Secret, as mentioned, I would say they at least need one game this series. I would say that's a must. Ideally, you want to. If they go 1-1 against EG, then ideally they're looking at 2-0s against their last two opponents, Liquid and Fnatic, in order to finish with a 9-7 record. Now that's a tall task. So you lose 2-0 here, you're in a lot of trouble. So Secret definitely looking for that first game. Perhaps this could be it, as Puppy will get his wards down. Same already done by EG.
Yep. Now, one thing you touched on towards the end of the draft is that EG does want to go sort of late. With their Enigma last pick, there isn't really a reliable way to cancel the black hole. Yes, the Adaptive Strike can go through it, even through the BKB. But like you mentioned...
Adaptive Strike?
Sorry, the Nether Strike.
It's like, okay.
Adaptive Strike, a very different hero on a different spell.
We just had the time travel hub, and I'm wondering if like there's some glitches in the continuum, and this is actually TI2.
We're playing that mode where you could draft different spells on different heroes. I don't even know what that mode is called. Anyways, my point I was trying to make is that Nether Strike will cancel the black hole through BKB. But the problem with that is Spirit Breaker is likely to be in the middle of the fight as the fight begins, right? So I'm not sure how reliable that that plan is for Team Secret.
The lanes will get started here. The last time we saw the Sumail Shaker mid, it was in a melee versus melee matchup. It looked like a last-minute audible when they did that as well, and it completely crushed the lane. But this time, Secret are prepared. They picked the Clinks, so not going to really be as easy for him to just come in and give him the totem.
Crit is going to help him out a little bit, but a very interesting starting item here from mid one, Ring of Basilius. When's the last time you've seen somebody leave the base with the Ring of Basilius in a pro game?
Yeah, normally you complete it in the lane.
Oh, you can't complete in this lane, so I guess that explains a lot of that.
Perhaps worried about a courier snipe, so... Yeah, Crit starting off in the lane as the Batrider. This is what he did when he was playing the support Batrider previously. I think it was like a month or so ago. He spent a lot of time laning. He was really far behind, and he basically never came online because the rest of the team also had a tough start. So we'll see if things recover.
Crit just moving forward, trying to zone mid one out. Here comes a magic stick for mid one. So I wonder, seeing the magic stick, whether Crit says, okay, I've done my job. He's got a stick now, so my harass is not going to be too effective. I'll just leave. For now, he's going to napalm inside the trees. Not give away the stick
pretty
charges.
Tough matchup for the Shaker, right? Like, you really, if there's no Batrider here and you've got the threat of that turret coming in, the Clinks is just peppering you with searing arrows from range, like, you're never getting close to him without help. I
mean, that's why the Bat is here, right? If you look at the CS, like, he's actually leading in terms of CS, 8-3 to the 4-0 of Clinks. So far, the game plan for the laning stage for EG is looking pretty good.
Yeah, they're getting a lot of CS. Of course, their supports are not having the best time, especially Crit, but Sankane's starting to jungle now. Zai did grab the level 1 Sandstorm, and you can see already some stacking happening here for Crit. Runes are about to spawn, and it will be a double damage rune top.
I'll take your
They're going to lay claim to that. So, actually going to let mid one grab. So yeah, EG actually doing pretty well here early. Like, for me, the big move that will probably decide the mid game and the course of this match, is assuming nothing crazy happens in the laning stage, Lumi, is that jungle invasion. Do they get early towers? They are looking for the first blood here. Diving Arteezy, MP pressuring him. Does have the Sakuchi cooling down, but Zai stands strong and forces them back. Takes over the lane, at least for now, giving Arteezy a chance to salvage.
On paper, I think EG does have that early game push, like you're mentioning. They have Eidolons, they have Wolves, Howl on the Eidolons. That's a lot of burst damage that you can put on buildings. I really like the fact that Puppey is down here. He did not start in this lane, but it is important because I don't think the Weaver by himself could keep down the Lycan. Lycan sitting at 4 HP regen per second will likely level Pharaoh Impulse up again. I don't think Weaver could actually pierce through that much regen. So it is important for Puppey to walk up here, give him the 17% a little bit, and pressure Arteezy. Because you would love to trade farm as a Lycan here against a Weaver.
Now it's seems like a boss. You know, you'd think the Clinks can really harass and slow down the Shaker. Not the case. 20-7 already.
Yeah.
That matchup is not really working out as intended for Secret, especially considering they committed the Kunkka. Meanwhile, Kezu breaking relatively even here against Universe, is getting out tonight a bit. But there is not like a clear lane win happening around the map right now for Secret, which again, it makes it more and more about that jungle invasion.
Right.
And that early pressure when EG try to play a little greedier.
And the narrative we had during the draft is that Secret needs to pull a little slightly ahead, right? Because they picked heroes like Clinks to be the chorus. We're going to see a charge happening in the mid lane, but likely just a harassing one.
I think EG is very comfortable holding thus far.
Oh, for sure.
Any adjustments from Secret that you would like to see?
Invisibility.
I don't think there's any kind of big lane swap that you could do to kind of salvage any lane. I think it's kind of unfortunate how the lanes are going, and they need to just pick up kills with Yapzor as well as Puppey, which unfortunately for them, they are unable to pick up any because Sand King and Batrider are some of the tougher supports that you could roam on right now.
Sand King just continuing to sandstorm away in the woods while Puppey scouts out crit. Both supports trying to farm the jungle now. This would ideally be around the time when you want to start striking if your team's Secret, but Klinks is not ready for that yet. He's only level 4. The Weaver, same thing, only level 4. So at best they can probably do is leech. They think about bringing in Yapzor, but he has second thoughts and rotates back towards bottom. So Secret just idly, for now at least, standing by while EG continue to play their greed game.
Gold from my chest.
Sand King making the rotation up top, sneaks past behind some tree line.
Sumail's in a little bit far here. Could be an opportunity charge coming in. Puppey wants to go. He gets the bash. Yapzor's in position, but mid one didn't like the look of that dive. He backed off. Meanwhile, in the top lane, Zai committing and will find Kezi. That's the first blood. Yep. He was farming, but quickly leaves the lane. And that is the beauty of how EG like to play, is that they seem to balance that greedier farming play with like making just enough moves to apply pressure and, you know, relieve some from the lanes for their cores.
It's just really hard to play against this playstyle by EG because their supports are constantly missing off the map. And then as Secret, you're like, okay, are they jungling or are they just ganking me? And, you know, charge happening.
Torrent and then a follow-up charge. Burrow out. Can he get away? Surging forward, but the Spirit Breaker stunned. Malefice preventing him from getting maximum value out of that surge. Can't even get onto the Sand King in a 3v2. They fall short. Another disappointing outcome for Secret. And oh, more pain. Salt in the wound now as mid one gets fissure blocked away by Sumail. Snags that prize taste rune. Klinks is caught up in CS, so that is some good news for Secret. But still only even with the Earthshaker, not ahead as you would like.
Yeah, and Shaker hitting level 6 is going to be huge, especially with a haste rune. I'm going to look for a Sand King rotation here from Zai. They could easily pop that haste, walk up with the Echo Slam, and then set up a Burrow Strike, and that is a dead Klinks. In fact, I think Klinks probably should start jungling and give the lane to Yapzor, because that gank is extremely, extremely likely.
Puppey's going to make his next move, this time towards bottom. Looking to dive Arteezy. Ideally, you'd love to see that Spirit Breaker moving with the Ion Shell on him, but not going to be happening this time. Hugging the tower, playing defensively, does get charged, but Zai's already ready to cut this off. Gets the 2-hero Burrow, kills off Puppey, punishes him for his insolence. And mid one has to back away. So they commit both cores to this rotation. They're two beefy carries, and they might lose one of them here. Mid one and Viz, do they have protection?
No, they don't.
Doesn't look like it, but nonetheless, EG wasting a lot of Secret time, coming out on top in these exchanges.
Yep. Having this ward in the river, very common one at this stage of the game, but seeing the charge from Spirit Breaker is the reason why they were able to make that rotation as cleanly as they did.
There are the weak points in EG right now. Secret can't seem to find any. They're going to charge it mid. They look for Sumail, but the Echo interrupts the charge. Get the hell out of here, Puppey, he says. Fairly big cooldown expended, but of course, keeping himself alive means the phase boots can come out, or perhaps they'll just save and go directly into the Blink Dagger.
Likely gonna see in phase first. Yeah, he has it finished. And then most likely we're gonna go into the Blink next. No surprising build whatsoever. Still has a haste rune though.
Illusion.
I wonder if PG looked to make a move with that. No smokes currently.
Haste. I'll take your tribute.
Now the charge will be attempted on Universe. And this is the tricky thing for Secret, is Puppey's really got his work cut out for him, Lumi. Like, wherever you charge, there's so many heroes that can interrupt it. Universe can Malefice you, the Sand King can Burrow Strike you, the Earthshaker can Fissure. We saw yesterday the Flame Break did interrupt the charge, so while it doesn't cancel TPs, I guess it still works against the charge. There's a lot of ways to disrupt this initiation from Puppey.
I think that really the big problem for Spirit Breaker is that the lanes on its own are not winning. When you have advantage lanes, the lanes by themselves are already putting so much pressure, and then the Spirit Breaker could be so mobile across the map and apply even more pressure at these pressure points. The problem is, Secret are essentially losing all three lanes, and what we saw yesterday when I believe it was, I want to say, Execration that picked Spirit Breaker, exact same situation. Spirit Breaker by mid-game just felt like it wasn't even a hero, it was just a big melee creep. couldn't apply any pressure anywhere, didn't do anything, and just quickly fell off.
Radiant's
And I
middle
can't
tower
feel,
is
but
under
that's
attack.
the same situation happening out for Puppey right now.
This is around the time where I thought Secret would want to really start taking over the map, invade the Radiant jungle, try and take a tower down early, shut down all the farming patterns. But Arteezy is farming freely in the woods for now. Crit looks like he's headed back to the woods, already hit level 5. Universe, uncontested in the top lane, closing in on his Midas, has the gold now for it. Sumail having a whale of a time in the mid lane, so
Radiant's bottom
still
tower
trying to
is under
find
attack.
really even that first slight crack of an opening, and they just can't seem to do it. And in fact, they might not get one now, as EG are showing signs of a 5-man rotation towards the top lane. The warding has been impeccable. I mean, you mentioned the one ward bottom. They might be able to get Sumail here, though. This could be huge. He's a bit isolated from his team. The lone cow could be punished. Charging for Puppey, gets the best. Needs a little bit more. Kunkka coming in with the Torrent as well, trying to lock him down. They need that Shaker. He walks back in. He gets up the Echo. He gets up the Totem. He's going to kill mid-1. Oh, not good. Not good for Secret. Stays alive. Sumail. The cojones on this one. That is painful, Lumi.
Dude, the mana, like he knew he was gonna die if he tries to run anyway, so might as well fight for his teammates available. Zai, to me, MVP so far at every single fight to just counter-initiate. Man, you said yesterday we need, what is that, the Spidey Sense Award for players?
Yeah, we were joking, you know, like if there were new hexagons nowadays, you know, maybe one of the categories would be Spidey Senses.
And man, the Spidey Sense on Zai.
EG is like you know, their MMR might be a little bit lower than Liquid's, but right now I'm feeling like their Spidey Senses is pretty
on
off
top
the
of things,
charts,
for
yeah.
sure. So
They do seem to have Secret figured out a little bit this game. Like the warding position has been perfect, the rotations have been on point, and they're also out farming them all the while. So.
middle, we're gonna see Yapzor on the run here. Charge is gonna come through here from Puppey. Looks like he will be fine. And this goes back to something I mentioned during the drafting stage. Now, as the mid-game approaches, you're seeing a level 6 Kunkka, barely going to pick it up, and then a level 4 Spirit Breaker. These two supports really want to be like 7 or 8 by this point, or soon after.
They want to have a kill.
Yeah,
like
they want to get something done.
You don't pick Clinks and Weaver as your cores and Spirit Breaker
Back
go
in
with
back?
the Darkseer to not have kills, but might
There
still
you
get
go.
one. Universe taken down top. There's an early push pick up here for Kezu, and there's a lot of magic damage on EG.
For sure.
And the silver lining for Secret is that while all these shenanigans were happening up towards the top side of the map, they did finally take that bottom tower. That to me is actually extremely important. These outer towers, probably more so than the kills. Cutting down on where EG feels safe to farm when they have 5 heroes that are great at it is a huge way to limit their economy heading into the mid.
I think taking the mid tower would be more important to the point that you made. If you could invade their jungle with the mid tower down, that's much better. But beggars can't be choosers. They are down, and maybe one thing that Kling's lineups can do is you could just backdoor tier 1 towers. Your damage output is so high. Maybe not with the level 1 strength, but maybe in a couple of minutes you can start thinking about that.
It's going to go back for a Midas here. So mid 1, not trying to rush the Desolator. Got the casual medallion. It's the value damage / potentially Roche item if they have a really decisive team fight. But the key for a Clinks has always been stay off the map. You know, constantly farm the jungle, be a threat to gank, try and force your opponents by your absence to clump up, to farm less freely. And mid 1 definitely doing a good job of that right now.
Oh, I think.
But you also have to balance that with, you know, actually getting some farm. You can't just constantly not be farming it off the map.
Look at the 3 hits, chunking crit down. The charge is going to get canceled. I think that was a miscommunication from Secret.
Puppey was charging, and now the Blink Dagger reveal. Echo comes in, but that Clink's pretty tanky. Not the easiest takedown, and will be alive. Yaps are there to break the lasso. Nicely played, and now trying to run away. The charge through. Puppey piles that crit back. Just leave my pesky Bone Fletcher away, he says. But no, Spirit Breaker going to go down here. As Sumail comes in for round 2. Fisher's there, and traps in mid 1, almost but not completely. He squirms away. Clinks has been losing weight, although he has left, and now low in the river, but EG only losing the bat as a trade for the Spirit Breaker. That was the Blink debut. Could have been worse, and you know, I think does showcase one of Clinks' strengths that he has a deceptively tanky core.
He also had the bow buff on him, which made him super tanky. Well, first kind of slight victory here for Team Secret. although did not get any towers or objectives out of that. And that's going to be the game plan for Secret for the next 5 to 10 minutes.
Radiant's bottom
Get a small
tower
kill
is
here and
under
there,
attack.
pressure towers. Because we know the economy game for EG is just much better. They got the Enigma, they got the Midas running. He's approaching to level 15. Top gank.
Look at mid one. Already MP here.
Top
There's
gank.
a top gank.
Yep.
We'll take down Puppy. I'm constantly trying to deal with this Batrider, and his persistence pays off. Gets the kill. That might be the mid tower. That would be huge. He's going to Trelay into it now.
Dire's
Drape's not
top
available.
tower
Already
is
used it
under
for the
attack.
kill. The Syrian
Radiant's
arrows do
middle
quite a bit of
tower
work.
is under attack.
EG
Dire
have to
are
imagine will be
They're
coming
smoking
straight
down.
to defend this. They're walking through a scan though. They were clipped by it. It's a secret. Should know this is coming. They back away. Look for the reset. And one using that medallion to help him farm ancients.
Once again, I think we're going to set up a gank here on Kezu up top. No shapeshift this time.
Sumail does not have Echo yet. He's going to try to start with an Enchant Totem. Fissure comes through, hits the Darkseer. That's not the target he wants. Now the Enchant Totem back on the Spirit Breaker, but I think the jig is up, and Sumail wants to get the hell out of dodge. Still, though, tanking some Syrian arrows, dropping low. He's still
What a burrow.
extremely durable, but pulled back into the vacuum. The boat, the pain for EG as they lose
Hey.
2 critical teamfight heroes.
That is the wombo combo that we're talking about, and man,
To think I doubted it, Lumi.
yeah, Yapzor has been on point. As soon as he got that level 4 X marks a spot, it's just X non-stop, and it's just beautiful
Radiant's
for these
middle
kind of
tower is
small
under
skirmish.
attack.
We do see mid one backdooring the tier 1 as
structures are
Puppy
fortified.
pushes crit away.
Dire's middle
It is
tower
really,
is under
so
attack.
much of the game is about this tower and that tower top. Taking those
Radiant's
down
middle
opens the way to
tower has
Roshan.
fallen.
Yep.
It allows them to invade EG's jungle. Like that is, if you were writing a script for Secret, those would be the 2 most important things, the Roshan and these tier 1s, mid and top.
We're going to see that fight one more time, and look at the beauty that is the vacuum torrent boat combo. We used to make highlight videos, but we're not going to watch that anymore because there's a fight in the river as we have Batrider getting cleaned up.
Crit is getting punished a lot. He's been, running around on his own, trying to be that, roving X Factor that can set up ganks or at least assist his teammates when they're being dove. But it's tough to get away with that against the Clinks. Mid one's constantly tracking him in the river.
Clings in a Spirit Breaker.
He's also setting up vision for the charges, so it's a nice little synergy between these 2 heroes that Secret have been able to exploit.
I mean, he's playing on the Batrider, but assume he's kind of on like a Crystal
Radiant's
Maiden
top
or
tower
Venge
is
Row,
under
right? Like,
attack.
you're just playing the 5, you're trying to ward and create space for your team, and that's going to happen against these 2 very aggressive roamers.
As you can see, mid one again
Charge.
tracking. Zai is the next to be caught out, and this is where having those towers down is oh so sweet.
But he's charging through a ward, so Zai is aware of the situation.
But doesn't matter. MP's going to get onto him. No teleport scroll on Zai. This could be trouble even without the Spirit Breaker actually connecting. One Syrian arrow, almost half his health down. MP wants to chase. He's committing for this. It's going to take a couple volleys of auto attacks to get the job done. He time lapses out. Not quite in time.
Meanwhile-
and now MP in danger. He's on the run.
Yeah,
The
Spirit
wolf
Breaker
is on
charged
the chase.
through an entirety of EG, so he just died, and now they're going to try to cut down EG. What a visual block! Traps MP in, Sakuchi's down, no time lapse, and he's going to get burned down. Vacuum pull, Horn, huge Echo Slam to take down the Weaver. The boat's going to come in, they will take down RTZ as a trade. Can they get a little bit more? Yapzor getting in position here for more
Looks
X.
for the X.
Glimmers himself, finds the X here on Sumail, and will connect the Torrent.
Universe does have Black Hole along with the Blink. Secret got to be careful not to group up. Yapzor sending back one. It is just in time. He is able to do so now. Jumping forward, Puppy commits onto Sumail. Sumail's in trouble being overrun. EG's position has been completely compromised. 3 down.
Wait, how
And
did
the
that
push
Black
is
Hole?
on.
How did that Black Hole cancel?
I believe it was Yapzor just quickly.
No, he didn't do anything.
He didn't do anything.
Radiant's
Yeah, I think he saw Yapzor. Was like, okay, well, there must be a torrent coming, but there wasn't anything, so he canceled it himself because the X torrent came after the Black Hole got canceled onto the other targets. Now, granted,
Let's see if we have a chance for a replay here.
Yeah.
But either way, the push is on. Secret working on the tier 2 tower. They're going to take
Radiant
this down.
structures are fortified.
Way to Roshan is certainly looking a lot
Radiant's
more open
bottom
now. The
tower is under
Desolator
attack.
under construction
Radiant's
momentarily for
bottom
mid
tower
one.
has fallen.
oh,
We'll
we're
have
gonna get the
another look
replay. X torrent back.
Yeah, so starts the fight on Sumail. Set this up with like a Glimmer walk in, then Puppy gets in. The Black Hole comes through.
And he just-
That was a vacuum by Kezu maybe?
Oh, it could be. You're right.
I'm not sure.
I'm not. There's a lot of purple in there, so.
Yeah, our-
so.
And in any case, great fight
Yeah.
by Secret. They get some key kills. They're Also not allowing EG to set up their full combo, and they're taking these early scrappy fights. That is what you want to be doing if you're in their position.
And they're getting objective off of these fights, which is important for Secret. Again, they cannot play on the back foot. EG's got the better late game, they got the better scaling hero. And for now, Secret should start to look at Roshan. Keep in mind they do have the medallion on mid one, and they have nothing but burst physical damage, so Rosh would be very easy.
EG trying to calm down here, reset for the next fight. But the vision is starting to become a problem for them, as constantly Secret know when EG are off in the jungle farming, and the Creed is being punished, charging for Puppey, looks for the lockdown, trying to cage the wolf, pumping in the Searing Arrow damage. Mid one scores the kill. Secret find another.
Yep.
This is what the draft was designed to do, just take over the jungle, not allow EG to play their farm game, not allow them to group up for fights. And so far, mostly according to script, but Lumi, with a lineup like this for EG, one fight can always change everything.
And they have, you know, a
All the
wombo
time.
combo of their own, right? Blink Black
attack.
Hole with the epicenter on top with the Echo Slam.
Is under
EG
attack.
rotating up top. You'd like to see Hero port back to defend, get the quick kill and push. And guess who's porting back? It's Kazu.
Not really the hero they want to go on. With a completed pipe, a mech almost ready. Actually, Greaves not too far off. He is an extremely tanky force. Basically a walking hospital for the squad.
Interesting to see Yapzor going for the Glimmer Cape and then into a Blink Dagger. Not the item progression that you see too often, but Yapzor loves these kind of high mobility items. He's been pretty much chewing on all the tomes as well.
Yeah, he's got, at this point, all of his key abilities fully leveled up. Max Torrent, Max X, 2 points in the boat.
Also the Torrent talent. Normally you see some of the greedier Kunkka going for the physical damage talent, so you could just neutral a little bit better, but...
That's playing into EG's hands, right?
Yeah,
you don't want to be spending too much time farming.
Yeah, like we've been mentioning, you know, they live and die by their skirmishes. They win those fights and get objectives. Surprised to see that Secret hasn't made a Roche attempt just yet. Maybe they're thinking about taking the mid-tier 2 first, and then go back for it.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
Yeah, it's scary to walk into the pit. Even with the towers being down, EG are so good at fighting in those claustrophobic areas. So Secret, instead, they'll smoke. They'll look for an opening, but EG are playing this one safe. They tuck back behind their tier 2s.
They go for the Roche now, but Lycan has a wolf in it. RTZ on point here with his micro.
This is why bygone days, teams always bought a gem.
And EG immediately
try and
smoke
do
up.
with Lycan.
Puppey breaks the smoke though. Here we go.
Dives in first, he gets the burrow. It's only on one, and not really the easiest target to take down, with Kezu having the mech, having the pipe, and the arrows come blazing in, taking out Zai quickly. Arteezy tries to man fight, but that's not going to happen until Universe is there. The X was already committed. The vacuum, though, is there to cancel the black hole, and now Secret are on the warpath. They're going to turn for crit. They look to bring him down. Big commitment from Zunel. The totem will end MP. Still, though, mid one stays alive. A 3 for 2, and it's with all the ults expended. They might lose Sumail. Oh. 2 more auto techs. Yapzor,
He's got X
not
again.
giving up the ghost yet. On the chase, he didn't quite get it off in time.
He had a vision. He had a ward. I'm not sure what happened there.
I think he was mid-cast animation.
Yeah,
and he just blinked out in time, so it
Dire's
was
bottom
truly a
tower
game of
is under
seconds
attack.
there.
Well,
But they expended a lot of ults, and they did not win the fight. Round 2 at the Roche Pit should certainly be Secret favorite.
Secret, mid one is going to death pack a big creep now. He's going to get a ton more HP. They're going to walk right back into it, pop the shrine along. I don't think EG could challenge it a second time. I'm going to see that team fight one more time. The boat came out before the black hole did, so even though the black hole looked pretty good for half a second, nobody was losing any HP because of the boat
Dire's
buff.
top tower
And
is
RTZ
under
was just
attack.
taking way too much physical damage. The X and the vacuum dealing with Universe.
Yeah, Kezu really came out big in that fight as well. Also, they initiated on the Darkseer with a pipe and Greaves. Like, that is not the best hero to start the fight on. EG still want to contest this, though, but Zai will be ushered away. Puppey's there with the charge. No siree, he says. Gets the bashes. Now the boat coming in. Actually connects on Zai. The Urn's there as well, but he's going to shrine up. Gets back to safety. And I think this has probably been one of the most interesting developments to me over the last 6 months, is that no team gives up Roche for free nowadays at TI. Like, even if they're down, 10, 15k gold unless they are physically being pushed away from the pit. There's always someone with a blink dagger or storm or another mobility here who's like trying to sneak in, especially if they're support, and like even if they probably die 9 times out of 10, that 1 out of 10 where they snatch the Aegis, teams have decided it's worth the risk.
For any game that is like close in contention, that's definitely the case. I remember we were casting the Cloud9 game yesterday. They were down by like 20k. They gave up the rush. They weren't fighting that one, but
We didn't cast Cloud9.
yeah, we did.
Oh yeah.
Or was it maybe the day before?
Yeah, I think it was the day.
Okay. But I completely agree with you. Like, you don't give up Roche for free, especially the second one, giving the cheese. How many times have we seen like a Roshan being done by one team, and then the other team steals the Aegis and cheese, and the game just completely turns on that point. So
top tower is under attack.
meanwhile, we got some Necro books being farmed on the mid lane.
So let's take a step back here. It's a moderate lead for Secret. They just got their prized Roshan. They denied EG. Overall game plan for Secret. Is there a timer on this team? What's their next objective? If they like had a script for how this game should play out from here, what would it be?
It's the same script. It's the same kind of fight, and you just keep bringing it to EG. You don't give them any breathing room. Your lineup is designed to apply pressure. I talked about Spirit Breaker as a pressure hero early on, and you just keep going. The Deso would help you take the objective on mid one, and they will likely finish the BKB first on Klings, and then start to try to finish the game. Whereas if you're EG fan, even though the game is currently not looking so well here for them, they still maintain high ground. They still maintain one of the best high ground defense with the BKB Black Hole, with the Bat Rider, and the Sand King. So I think both teams have a lot of ways to play the remainder of the game still.
Mid one banging on the front door as he lays into this tier 2. You can see Zai is trying to do that split pushing job here top, but he is being charged by Puppey. He might not actually be able to TP out. It looks like he's in a lot of trouble as the sentry gets deployed. They're going to nether strike him back. Yapzor's still in position. The damage is not the best from these two, but they slowly work the Scorpion down. He burrows again in the trees. Meanwhile, in the river, the real fight breaking out as they've tried to get the power play going here. EG, though, still losing their Enigma pretty early in the fight. Big commitment already. They dive MP. He scurries away. The Wolf's time is being wasted, and his ult's about to end as Puppey sees opportunity. Charging in, gets denied by the Fissure, but mid one with the cleanup. You know, EG are like, we have this 4v3 in the river. Let's go fight, but Secret are just too tanky and too elusive to consistently wrangle them. And not to mention, even if you do, they're usually not dying.
Yeah. I think the big problem that Enigma currently is facing is that, you know, when you see Enigma being picked, you're always like, okay, Black Hole, how is it going to get canceled? How many stuns can I BKB off? Things like that. But the other kind of more barbaric way to cancel Black Hole is just to kill them. And mid one is like, okay, every time I'm going to put my medallion on you, I'm going to strafe you, and you're going to just die. So Enigma normally likes to build things like Octarine and things like that, and he has one on quick buy, but I think maybe a plate mail into Shiva's Guard is perhaps more effective for a game like this.
I think what we're also seeing is just how integral the Darkseer and the way he's itemized has been to this game. Like, Kezu alone actually really punishes this 5-man combo with the Greaves, with the Pipe, and also just with the Darkseer's nature as a hero, the vacuum in the wall. Excellent crowd control, and honestly, it makes it so that like EG is trying to play their game, and their game is not necessarily even that favorable for them. Yeah, he is like the one-man antidote to that combo.
It also helps that,
at least for now.
It also helps that EG is initiating onto the Darkseer on these fights, as opposed to, you know, on the other guys and try to kill them quick. But it's like, it's hard either way, right? Because if you don't kill the Darkseer, then he just mechs and pipes at the rest of the team. So it's...
You mentioned the Necrobook. We haven't really had a whole lot of time to breathe the last couple minutes, but I wanted to get your thoughts because the build nowadays for most Legged players is mid one tries to set up here. Might be able to quickly kill off the Sand. He is on the chase. The charge comes through. The Burrow Strike committed. So no way to interrupt this. They're going to pull him back with the X. The Torrent marks his demise. But yeah, this Necrobook build has really fallen off in popularity. It's all about Armlet Mask of Madness. So do you like the build? Curious why Arteezy went for it this game.
I mean, there's two Invis heroes on the other side. Just having the ability to have that detection always in team fights is quite good. But I do agree with you. I think the Mask of Madness Armlet build plays better when you're ahead. The Necrobook, I don't know, it just feels so weak, especially when you're behind like this.
It's obviously you're up against a Weaver and a Clinks, right? So that minus armor can be extra brutal. If you're running in and they're just hitting you with a Deso, a Medallion, like you're melting probably. But
X.
On the flip side, the Necrobook minions also seem to be getting crushed. Clinks is happy to shoot those up. Speaking of which,
YapzOr's been missing a lot of his exposed combo, and now
he has a BKB though. They've got to completely change them. The vacuum interrupts, and now mid one can turn if he needs to. Zai's low, the swarm hits him, and now Universe comes in. Decent to black hole. YapzOr doesn't have a whole lot to deal with this, but the Clinks is just dishing out damage into it. Still though, the team's getting overrun. Still is not BKB. Mid one's now lassoed and controlled. BKB finally comes out, but it only marks his tomb. Now YapzOr on the run. Oh, Secret. Not respecting the EG combo. They're going to lose a fourth as the Kunkka gets picked off to climactically end the fight.
yeah, Clinks got pushed away, and he didn't activate his early BKB. It made sense there because even if he activated BKB and went in a fight, Universe was waiting for the black hole. So good patience by mid one to wait out the black hole. But unfortunately, he didn't have enough damage to kill the Enigma. Enigma came in with full HP. We're going to watch that fight one more time as mid one is just getting heavily pressured. He walks away, Could easily activate the BKB here, but keeps on walking away because he knows that Enigma is coming with the black hole. He waits out the black hole and then tries to kill him, but not enough damage. And great fissure here from the Shaker to break out his damage. I think had he activated the BKB to kill the Enigma, maybe that fight would have turned a little bit differently, but the rest of EG was coming in fast and hot.
I mean, I think you at least give it a shot. You know, maybe it turns out it's not enough damage, you still lose the fight, but you don't go for this item to like save it for a rainy day. Those are the crucial fights that can decide the game.
And you used it right before he died. That was a 10-second BKB, so that was
definitely unfortunate for mid one, but Secret, well, what was once that 4K gold lead that they scrapped and clawed to achieve, now basically a dead even game. They'll have to reset. And we do see, you know, that's a fight where, well, it is hard to deal with the black hole now that Enigma's BKB. They've been able to cancel it pretty quickly in 2 fights, but nothing really, unless somehow the Spirit Breaker can get a charge in.
Right, or Nether Strike again, like I mentioned earlier. Do you think that that's how this game's going to come down to? It's just like, how good are the black holes, how long he could channel it for?
Secret are hoping that they can play it in such a way that it doesn't, but I think
it kind of feels like
when
it
you've
does,
got veteran hands like Universes on the Enigma, it seems relatively unlikely he completely airballs those black holes. So I think it will certainly be one of the crucial factors that decides this game.
So we do see Kezu going back for a Helm of the Dominator. We seen the Darkseer, I think yesterday when we casted, went for this build. I mentioned how it's very easy to dominate a creep and then you could put the Iron Shell and then farm with it. The added benefit in this game is that you could have a creep with you all time for mid one to actually eat. And that's pretty critical in some of these team fights when they break out suddenly. The dominated creep also has more HP than the ones you find in the jungle.
That's a good, yeah, it seems like a really nice item synergy with the team's heroes.
There's like, it used to be a debate where if Clinks would even build a helm for himself. Obviously, when your teammates build it for you and just eat it, much better for the Clinks.
Reminds me of, wasn't there some crazy like 90-minute game last year in the group stage where, was it MVP? I think MVP got like multiple helms of the Dominator, and then they would just like start, like if you re-dominate a creep, obviously you lose the old one.
You disassemble it. Or, no, you put it down. You just put it down.
Put it down. They would buy a new Dominator, and then they would just surround the throne with like all these Dominator creeps. They were slowly building their army of the undead, but yeah, I don't think we're gonna see that this year.
I would hope
famous last.
I would hope we see some 90-minute games. You know, I'm always down for that kind of stuff.
Yeah, then you'll perk up. That is, Lumi's not a big coffee guy, but that is
my natural coffee. Yeah, 90-minute games.
Well, we're a third of the way there. As EG venture outside the base, they might be walking into.
Look at what YapzOr's got queued up. I know you kind of brought up as kind of like a semi-joke, but he's got Axe queued up. Have you seen those highlight reels where like the Kunkka blinks next to a team and then like bolt backwards, and then it's just like a vacuum bolt towards the team, and then likely there's a torrent waiting, there's, you know, a vacuum wall waiting. We're gonna see some highlights.
You gotta put the shades on as you do that. Put your other eye patch on.
Oh, well, that would impair your vision. How about you do it first, and then as it's going, then you put the shades on.
They're gonna try to start the fight on Puppey here. Fissure comes in from Sumail. The Yule Scepter to interrupt this chain of initiation. Now the Enchant Totem comes through, but they get scared and they back away as the Black Hole's committed, but it's on a BKB Clinks. He's not taking too much damage. They can look to turn this. Chunky down Universe. Mid one gets his vengeance. Now turning on the Batrider as well. He pressed his BKB, and Secret will deny EG here. Zai comes in late, and he'll likely be the third down if Yepsor can get him, but he doesn't have the mana. It's Puppey charging through, connects on two. Also finding Sumail in addition to Zai. They'd love to grab additional kills,
Radiant's
but
bottom
even
tower
more than
is
that,
under
they would
attack.
love to take this Roche. See, they all frantically scramble about, and then they say, let's get it.
Yep, the buyback had to be expended for that engagement. Puppey was in a great position charging back into the fight. Unfortunately, the rest of his team was on the high ground, so they could not take advantage of the fact that he was chain setting essentially half the team by himself. Still though, Secret wins the team fight. They get Aegis and Cheese, and you know, they could kill mid one once. I don't know if they could kill him twice. Although the second time would be easier because he likely would not have death pack.
Or BKB. Yeah, let's see if they can pull it off. They're down a black hole now, though. It is a pretty good time to push. However, beware the Echo Slam, which is still available for Sumail to deploy. EG are going to tap the Shrine, try and stay in fighting shape. They now make their move, jumping onto mid one. They want to crack him and break that Aegis early, and he will lose it. He was compromised up on the high grounds. Really could have sat farther back.
Double dust flying out. They're going to try. The boat's going to rescue them, but Burrow Strike from Zai is available. They want him, and they are going to get him, lasso him back, and that is going to be killed through Aegis. And now EG, one of the best chasing team in with the Lycan, they will take down Puppey as well. That is a dieback. My man, mid one, why was he like, he was next to the melee racks trying to hit people.
All right, well, he does actually have buyback, but yeah, that is a double death. I'm not really sure. I think just a bit over-eager. They didn't need to kill heroes, right?
Yeah.
They could have just sat back. Clinks can strafe from distance. Weaver can plink. The rest of the heroes can wait and reserve, because the one thing that could ruin them, the Blink, Black Hole, BKB, is not available.
Right.
So if they go in for a lasso, like the Darkseer can counter-initiate, the Kunkka can X you back. There's really no... You can approach that very systematically, in a very organized fashion, but they chose instead to just rush headlong into the base.
Yep.
It's kind of the nature of how you want to play with a Spirit Breaker and with these heroes outside, but I don't think it's how you approach the siege.
Not high ground, which surprises me greatly. This is a Puppey-led team. Like, this is the one point in the game where he's generally very good, you know, slapping his team a little bit. Don't go crazy, you know, systematic siege, and then this happens.
We do not encourage any physical violence.
We do not.
But
that was a metaphoric backslap, you know. It's just like, hey, make sure we don't do anything throwy. That is a huge throw, in my opinion. A game that looked like very winnable in that position.
It's only a throw if they lose, Lumi. It could be a huge throw. Okay.
I mean, now EG's got their black hole back. They got all of their spells back. Let's check if they have any smokes ready to go. Nothing on the heroes yet. I'm not sure if EG is out of smoke in their shop either. So that is going to be the next point of contention.
Is there a point where it's just like too late for Secret? Do you feel like it's at some stage of this game, EG, once they get enough items, enough levels, are just too strong in the late game? Or do you feel, no matter how late this game goes, that Secret's lineup always can match up?
I think Secret's definitely got at least 10 to 15 more minutes. I think once EG, if they start itemizing for some hard way to kill the Clinks, whether it's like, let's say, Abyssal Blade on RTZ or a Hex coming out from one of these like rich EG cores, then I think that gets like super hard for mid one and the rest of the Secret. But for now, they still have a couple of team fights left.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
Desperately in need of a 2-0 to start the day. Still looking for that first game victory here.
Dire's top
They've been
tower
back and forth,
has fallen.
but for the first time in a long time, it is an EG advantage now. Up by a bit over 1,000 gold. Hugging their base, playing it safe, but while most of the team is camped inside the base, you'll notice, like we saw earlier, Sand King was split pushing top. Right now, Batrider is deep in the Dire tree line, all the way to the north. So EG is always sending some sort of expedition out to keep the lanes pushed, to cut the creep waves, and to try and eke out a bit of farm. So it's not like total turtling, it's like, you know, a hybrid turtle farm strategy.
It is somewhat dangerous because, you know, we've seen Zai trying to do that earlier and then he's just charged. You know, there's a Clinks right on top of him. And speaking of Zai getting charged, that is exactly what's happening right now.
A long way to go for the smoke gank. Zai just wants to farm a wave. And he will blink out in time, but still Puppey gets enraged for the Nether Strike. The Burrow gets him out to safety. Zai coming out Clutch there, and now EG's turn to smoke. They'll make their move. Instant reply.
That is putting on the shades, escaping the gang. My goodness, the timing on that. All right, here we go.
Perfect.
10 out of 10.
The Wolf is leading the scouting party as it tries to get eyes on Secret. Secret
Not so safe harbor,
to be
eh?
careful about this initiation. They don't have a gem currently, and now in comes the Fissure to start the fight. Follow up onto the Darkseer. The Echo, they commit. They hole as well, and running into it is the Spirit Breaker who can interrupt it. Universe gets off a Butte, and the Black Hole overwhelms. Now 4 have fallen, a complete rout of Secret.
And now they have enough damage to kill through the
Radiant's
Darkseer.
bottom tower
No
is
pipe
under
activation, no Grieve activation. They just changed them completely from 100 to 0. And it's EG going the other way.
Going to lose this game. They're going to be kicking themselves. Missed opportunities, overextensions, mistakes that were avoidable will come back to haunt them. It's not over yet, but EG certainly want to make it so. They are barreling down mid while we watch the tail end of that fight.
Yep.
Just, again, the BKB, Blink, Black Hole, there is no real reliable reply, and 2 fights now, the Universe has found an opportunity and
Dire's
taken
middle
Yeah,
tower
Nether Strike
is
was on
under attack.
cooldown. Remember they used it on Sand King earlier just before that fight happened. So that's why Universe had no pressure whatsoever.
And at
Now?
some point, he's going to have a Lincoln Sphere, you know, if he feels like he is
Dire's
worried about
Right,
another
right.
strike, at which point.
At this point, it doesn't seem like he's even worried.
Dire's middle
He hasn't
tower
even got
has
cancelled.
fallen.
So EG, they'll take the tier 3, the way to the shrines now lies open, and they're not going to overextend. They know the Black Hole's on cooldown.
Dire's top
They will
shrine
focus
is under
on
attack.
securing map control.
Dire's
have a little
top
shrine pounding
has
party.
fallen.
Now, I don't need to
Shoot
tell
off
you.
some fireworks and then get the hell out.
I don't need to tell you that why map control is good, but in particular with the context of this game, keep in mind that Secret has been getting every single Roshan up to this point. Should EG be able to challenge and tech the next Aegis,
Visibility.
I think that goes back to your previous question is when is the hard GG? That is it, right? If EG has Aegis, I don't think Team Secret could win the fight after that. So this past 5-minute turn of events, you lose one big fight, you lose your tier 3, you lose Shrine, you lose map control. Ice Frog forbids if they lose Roche, it is lights out for Team Secret.
Ice Frog forbids.
Well, you don't know what religion people are, but you know we're playing Dota.
I know what
so-
religion you are.
Yeah, there you go.
You believe in the one-true frog.
You mean that OS Frog, boys?
No, not the OS Frog. The OS Frog is an imposter.
Oh, okay, I see.
The OS Frog is a lesser creature. The Ice Frog is the original, the great, the pure.
You know, no amount of
Ice
flattering.
Frog giveth, and Ice Frog
No
can
amount of
take
flattering
away.
will let you cast the grand finals, right? Like you could just keep talking right now. It's just not gonna happen.
It's all about that TI8 invite, Lumi. I'm just starting my
Oh, I
campaign.
see.
I'm just starting my campaign.
Prepping
right
ahead. I like that. I like that.
now. But EG, I think, you know, as we've kind of been touching on, we'll continue to reinforce throughout the game. There's no rush for them getting. There's plenty of key items that they could still complete. Some damage items, perhaps, for Sumail now that he's got all his utility. Zai, obviously, something like an Ags or Lotus Orb would be wonderful. Universe can get that Refresher or Lincoln Sphere. Crit, a BKB, and Core Staff eventually would be wonderful on the Bat Rider. Arteezy, at some point you probably replace that. Necro Book, still room for the Abyssal. There's lots of big items they can pick up, and they're in no hurry. Where Secret are feeling the pressure, feeling the heat.
Crit sending a beautiful spot to break any kind of smoke rotation into their jungle, and they're gonna just chill. Also, previously, EG was playing around a huge cooldown of Black Hole, but because he's got the 15% CDR talent and also the Octarine core, he's looking at a 102-second cooldown on the Black Hole, which is very respectable for such a game-changing ultimate. Also, side note, 60-second cooldown on Hannah Midas. Just 10 out of 10 as well.
The cooldown reduction is such a big deal, especially when you combine it with the Octarine. Like, it's not quite every fight, but it's in those late game scenarios. Oftentimes, like, you'll have to either take a Roshan, then try to push a lane, or just clear all the waves, push out the side lanes, then go down mid. It takes a little while to get to your ideal staging point. And by that time, a lot of times the Black Hole's either ready or the fight can start and it'll cool down in the middle of the fight. So, that 100 seconds versus like the 3 minutes is, a real game changer.
I have no idea why Enigma's talents are the way that they are now. It almost should be where you get the 120 gold or the 15% CR at level
Dire
20,
are scanning.
and instead of at 15.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that those are a little more game-changing than the one Malefice instance.
Because getting the CDR at 15 means so much more, because you're gonna, the 15% CDR allows you Midas so many more times to get to the 20 and 25 and whatnot. But let's have that debate for a different day, as EG is.
are
We'll put our
scanning.
Enigma chop shop on hold as EG make their move through the river, lurking on the high ground.
Arcane Root.
Our secret, and they were scouted by a Radiant scan, but Yapsor's going to jump in first, tries to bait something out. Little X shenanigans for him. Now Sumail confidently lumbering up with the Shivas. Echo initiation, he gets the party started. Zai's there to follow up. Look for the hole. He's got to find That's 3! Universe, you monster! How could you? Puppy and all his monitors are in shambles. Secret on the run, completely overwhelmed.
He didn't get the Clinks, and he was taking quite a bit of damage, but his teams backed him up. They had a disarm, they had a Yules. Clinks did not do any
Dire's
damage in
middle
that team fight.
barracks are under attack.
And with a big win, EG goes straight for the Raxus. Backdoor protection be damned. They don't care. They're going to run it
Dire's
over.
middle barracks.
They could go for the
Dire's
GG if they
middle
want. They're going to go for the
barracks
safe
has fallen.
triple lane of Rax, or just a
Dire's
second lane of
top
Rax.
tower is under attack.
And this is an EG victory any way that you
Dire's
toss
top
it.
tower has fallen.
Stable, patient,
Dire's top barracks has
and
fallen.
deadly late
Dire's top
game. That
barracks has
was
fallen.
the EG draft. That was the game plan, and they executed it. Wasn't flawless, and I think you look back at this game, some of those key fights in the 20 to 30 minute range where Secret had a bunch of big successes, but then a few really critical mistakes. And perhaps that also speaks a little bit to the draft, Libby, where it's not that the draft couldn't work, but they couldn't afford to miss their windows.
Yes.
This EG lineup could make mistakes and still, you know, catch a second win, have a fresh take, and a new opportunity. Secret really didn't have too much margin for error.
Yeah, I think the Secret lineup is also, like you mentioned, just super hard to play. Much harder to play than the EG lineup.
Has fallen to the
And
Radiant.
you make a mistake, you make 2 mistakes,
Immortality.
that is tough. And the impossible or the improbable has happened. EG has Aegis now, so I don't know. We're going to watch the team fight one more time and just watch Enigma slowly lumbering forward. And
But Secret like, no.
it's the max range black hole. That's when you put the shades on, you know? It's like, I got all 3, all at the corner.
Also, little things that helped there, like Yulesing the Clinks. He did not BKB again.
Disarming the
wouldn't have
Clinks.
mattered, to be honest. Like, that black hole was going to go off for the full duration anyway.
Yep.
But, you know,
I'll
just
take it.
all the little details were executed quite crisply by EG.
And now he has Lincoln Sphere.
And also, the other really big thing is, you know, still even now, Secret do not have, as far as I can tell, a gem. I don't know if they've had one at any point. Maybe I think they might have lost one in that fight. But it seems like the Wolves are giving them the vision. Yeah, Yapsor did lose the gem there.
Yep.
But consistently, those Wolves have been uphill around corners, giving them vision that's setting up these fights, and that is really one of the hidden attributes that makes Lycan such a strong carry when he's in the meta.
Yeah, remember when, you know, when the game just begun, all of these Spearbreaker rotation had been thought out and countered. We were talking about how EGL was playing very well with rotation. They're going to go right into Crit. Crit has a self-Yules.
Black Hole is ready again, though. The combo's available. They got to be careful about this. Puppy wants to back away, but the boat comes crashing in. What will it accomplish? Really nothing. It's a bit of a fail boat as EG just pump their BKBs and rain down pain. Applause for Zai patting himself on the back. And EG hot on the chase. Secret give up. They throw in the towel. Another loss for them, and a crucial one here. If they lose this game too, they are guaranteed to be no better than 8-8, and they have to then 2-0 Liquid as well as Fnatic. A very likely lower bracket berth awaits them, I think, at that point. So trying to at least scrap a game 2 win is essential for Team Secret.
And they had it this game. They were very close at one point. They had Aegis. They were up on the high ground, and I think high ground Dota is probably the hardest part of Dota. You could get ahead, but whether you could finish or not is a different story.
Close but no cigar. The boys in blue, well, they're happy now. 6-3. We'll be back for game 2 after this.